Hey guys, my name's Sam and welcome to PrepMedic. This week we are doing a review and overview of two different rapid response medical kits from TraumaPak. On the right we have the Defender and on the left we have the Bradley. This review is going to go a little bit differently than some of the other ones I've done in the past. Mainly, I want to give you my pros and cons of both of these because they're relatively similar in fit and function. And honestly, my criticisms and my praise are about the same for both of them. And then I'll individually go through each one and show you what's in it. So I'll leave time codes down below so you can check out the different overviews or the review section of this video. So first and foremost, we do have to talk about the use case for these kits. These are both designed for law enforcement officers or security personnel who have the potential of responding to really volatile scenes where they need an expanded medical kit. Most police officers, security guards do not carry full medical gear on their persons. It's simply not feasible. You can get smaller pocket trauma kits and stuff, but generally we're making a sacrifice for size. So just having a tourniquet is great, but having everything in both these kits is even better. Traditionally, if somebody is responding to an active shooter, which would probably be the most common scenario or the most well-known scenario for these kits to be used, a police officer would have either a plate carrier that does offer protection. It also has medical kits on it and more ammunition for their rifle, which they're probably deploying in this case. Or they're going to be deploying something like a sling or a backpack that has the same things in it, just doesn't offer armor. Well, generally, I would advocate for the armor option because it does give you that rifle protection that a lot of soft armor does not. That is not always feasible for law enforcement officers because they have so much on them. So they've got their camera, badge, other tools. They might already be wearing a load-bearing vest, and that might take a little bit more time than they're willing to spend in these really volatile situations. The backpack and the sling, I don't care for a whole lot, simply because they're loose on the body. A backpack, it's kind of hard to do a speed reload out of a backpack as opposed to something that's on your belt or leg, anything like that. Enter this third option. So both of these kits are drop leg kits and they are multi-functionality. So on this one, it has room for 2 AR mags and 2 pistol mags. And then on the Bradley, you have room for 4 AR mags for your rifle, which is kind of nice. Now, these are both the drop leg design, so they both have the ability to be attached to your duty belt in a really short amount of time. So you have 2 different options. The one that it comes with and the one that they recommend is this buckle system. So this clip right here will live on your belt forever. It doesn't take up any space. It hardly weighs anything. And you take this and then the kit is hanging off this buckle. So what you do is you take the kit and you put it on there, you do the 2 straps around your leg and it's ready to go. The other option is you can wrap this guy around your duty belt. And frankly, I'd have these reversed. I'd have this one on my duty belt just hanging there and then this one on the kit and it'll clip in just like that. So you're ready to go with it. Both are great options, which leads me to kind of the actual review of the kit. One, I think those are both very innovative. I think it's really easy to throw this on your leg. My biggest complaint of both of these kits as drop legs are how low they sit on your leg. So I actually strapped one on and tried to run with it just to see if what I thought was gonna happen happened. And what I found is that they hang so low on your leg right above the knee, and I'm a pretty average sized guy, that they kind of end up getting bounced everywhere. When I do anything drop leg, I like to have it really close up to my belt, low enough so it's under my armor and it clears all of that. I'm not getting hung up, but not so low that it's wobbling around. One of the first holsters I had sat really low on my leg and it had 2 straps and I switched that out for something that was much closer to my belt. It does have 2 straps here that have the rubber material on them, but that really doesn't do everything you need it to do in forms of stability. Now, is it going to trip you? No, but it is slightly annoying and does kind of limit how you can move in it slightly. Between the two of them, I would say that the Defender has less of an issue with it because it is a lot smaller. So that's kind of my first gripe. Now, a couple things I really like about these kits is they are super, super versatile. So both of these kits are completely detachable. If you are on SWAT or you are only buying one kit, because let's be honest, these are pretty expensive, you can take this and instead of like redoing your entire configuration, I can take this kit here and pull it off the leg harness portion of it. So you could have this for your patrol, stick it on there, and then have your plate carrier where you have the alternate backing this comes with. Now this backing is MOLLE compatible. You can throw it on a plate carrier, on even a battle belt that has this option, and you can stick it right on there and it's going to work the same. You still have this closure here. So that is super, super versatile, and it's something you don't see with a lot of kits. So it's basically you're spending a lot of money for one kit, but it can serve a lot of different purposes, and you don't have to just re-MOLLE it every single time. As far as contents go, both of these kits have good contents. I think they're excellent. You can get them in 3 different levels, and off the top of my head, I forget what they are, but it has everything you would expect an IFAK to have with a little bit more. The big thing that changes is what kind of clotting gauze you have with them. So they do have high-end material, but I would like to see a little bit more in both of them. I think both of these kits are really viable options for a rapid response trauma kit. It has the main things you need on the inside of it. You can even put multiple tourniquets on both of them. This one will hold 3 tourniquets. This one will hold 2 on the outside. So if you really are designing an active shooter kit, a mass casualty kit, this is something that can fit a lot of those needs. A couple other just really nice little things they do for you. Both kits will come with different pulls that you can replace. So this one right now has red pulls on it. You might not want red pulls. It'll come with black ones and kind of a nice little black diamond carabiner. Same with this one. Now, I replaced this one with black pulls because I like the black pulls better. However, it kind of defeats the purpose when you do have a permanent red pull handle if you did want to disguise it. So you could cut this off, you could wrap it, I guess. But with that, I would like to see maybe some of those red accents go away if they are trying to give you kind of a low profile option with less bright colors. In my experience though, especially in law enforcement, camo and concealment and stuff, it has a purpose, but it's not the end all be all like it might be in a more military setting. All right, so let's go through both of these kits. Let's start here with the Defender, and then we'll move on to the Bradley in a second. So the Defender, like I said, this has the detachable option too, and I'm gonna do that just to keep these straps from rattling around, but you can detach this. You could even MOLLE other things to this. I don't know why you would though. And this kit can hold the 2 AR mags, 2 pistol mags for your ammo, or 2 AR mags and a flashlight something, or you could get a med mag from SOAR Rescue. I don't really like these retention straps normally, but for a sometimes use thing, I think it's absolutely fine. And then it still has the 2 straps on it. Looking at the kit, which is what we really care about, right? We have a loop field on the front. They've got one of their patches there and 2 rows of MOLLE. So you could put like more tourniquet holders on the top. You could put trauma shears on the outside, something like that. You have 2 elastic bands for tourniquets. And one of the cool things on their website is you can completely customize what kind of tourniquet it comes for, and they'll throw it on there. So kind of a neat option. Clamshell opening, you do have this red pull tab that you can leave on the outside, open it really, really easily. And then on the inside, we have a lot of things we'd expect to see from a trauma kit. Now, depending on what your use is for this, I would recommend that you customize this. So if this is an active shooter mass casualty kit, I might change up some of these things as opposed to this being an IFAK or a general medics bag for a call out. We're gonna want to change that up a little bit. In the lid, we'll start with the lid here. We have your quick clot, your combat gauze. Great, works well, is going to pack wounds, no issue. And then we have 2 things. So we have a reference card. So this reference card here basically is a like really quick, how do I treat a casualty? So this is for the law enforcement officer that treating patients is not their full-time job. I would probably throw this out because I do not need this reference. So here we have stop the bleeding, airway, vented. I think that's kind of a stretch, but it's for a vented chest seal. And then prevent exposure, hypothermia. And on the back, we have a run, hide, fight card, communicate, call 911. This is very much for civilian use. Like this isn't what a police officer is going to do, obviously. So it kind of mixes up what the cause of this kit is. As a professional, I'd probably take this and just keep it on the outside because it's not something we really need. So in here we have a survival blanket. It's just a Mylar blanket. This is a pretty standard one, relatively cheap. Remember, you need to insulate under this. So this isn't a be-all, end-all for hypothermia prevention. You do have to layer with it to make it effective. Now, down in the back pocket, and there is some elastic closure there, this is just a emergency pressure bandage. I don't even know who makes this one, but it is a pad with an elastic bandage that allows you to wrap really tight around a wound. So for leg wounds that don't necessarily require a tourniquet or arm wounds, somebody has a head wound, something like that, you can throw that on them, or you can use it to hold in different kinds of wound pack. In the top lid here, we have really cheap trauma shears. So trauma shears like this are great for 1 to 2 uses, and then they're gonna get dull, you're gonna have to replace them. Luckily for you, these things literally cost like 50 cents to $1 most of the time. Now, in the rest of this kit, we have NAR wound pack. So if you can't afford a lot of medical supplies, if you can't afford combat gauze, totally get it. This is a great alternative for you. It is cheap, it is super, super effective, and you can throw that in somebody's wound. This one even has a radio opaque line in it, so when you put it in, trauma surgeon goes in, they do x-ray of the patient or image them in any way. This is gonna show up so they know to remove it, which is kind of a nice thing to have. All of your quick clot has the exact same thing. In the rest of the kit, we have a thing of duct tape. Now this is pretty big. I might take this, put it around a credit card, make it a little bit thinner, pull some of it off. Duct tape has a lot of different uses in a lot of different environments. Now, does it have really use in an active shooter environment? Maybe, but if this is really an active shooter kit, I would probably remove the duct tape from it and keep that somewhere else in my vehicle or on my persons if I really did feel I had a use for it there. We've got a thing of elastic wrap. So this is great for wrapping on a splint. You can use it as a backup pressure dressing of some kind. You name it, this has a ton of different uses. Nice to have in the kit. On the side, we have a Sharpie for, writing the time the tourniquet was applied, things like that. And then in the back, we have hyphen chest seals. So these are the chest seals that I use for most of my kits. They are pretty nice because there's 2 of them for an entrance exit wound. They're vented. The vent works relatively well. And they really work after you bought them for quite a long time. They don't really degrade a whole lot in the packaging. So this is generally what I buy just because it's a good compromise between size as well as functionality. And then last but not least in this kit, we have 2 things of gloves. I would take them out of these guys here. North American Rescue is getting a little better, not packaging them quite as tight, but still if you have to use them in a hurry, it takes a little bit of time to get them out, get them expanded. So what I would do is I would open them up, make sure they're expanded as they can be, and then I would just kind of bunch them up a little bit more and put them back in here. It's just gonna be easier for you to use at a moment's notice. Moving on to the Bradley. This is the big brother to the Defender Trauma Kit. And honestly, between the 2 of them, I like the little bit of a smaller form factor. Now this isn't any thicker, but it will get in the way just a little bit more because it is wider and hence a little bit more heavy, so it's gonna swing around in your leg. On the front, it's very, very similar. So we have the hook loop field. One of their patches on it, you can put identifiers, you name it. You also have a trauma shears holder. So these are the same relatively cheap trauma shears. This will fit an X shear, and I bet you it would also fit a Raptor's trauma shear in it. However, if you get too much bigger than the small one, it's gonna stick out and it's more liable to catch on things. Still nice to have this as an option in the front, but you do not have any MOLLE webbing going back and forth on it. You have places for 3 tourniquets. So I think this one came with an extra tourniquet for me. We have a tourniquet on the outside on this elastic loop. You could put one on this side, and then there's room on the bottom. These guys both detach, so you could expand it a little bit and put some rescue straps in it, webbing, you name it. If you need something for rescue, you can kind of fit it. Or if you just want to carry a 3rd tourniquet for an active shooter mass casualty kit, that will work as well. The design is fine. It's very, very similar to the other kit. So opening it up, it doesn't actually come with a ton more than the other kit, but the price difference isn't astronomical between the 2. It does have a little bit more in it. So You can see right away there is an internal tourniquet. The only time I would suggest keeping a tourniquet on the inside of a kit is if you're in really harsh conditions regularly. This is going to protect it a little bit more. You should not have a tourniquet in the plastic wrap or have the instructions with it. I got in an argument online with somebody, which I know that was a dumb idea to begin with. But the instructions are for you to look over when you get the tourniquet. They're not to actually like guide a bystander in applying a tourniquet. So remove it from the plastic wrap. It's ready to go at a moment's notice. And honestly, I would recommend keeping this on the outside of the kit. So one of the first things I do with this is remove this tourniquet, put it on the outside so it's easily accessible. And then I've got room that I could put something else in it if I really wanted to. On either side, we have 2 more of these elastic dressings. So these are, like I said, good for any number of things. There's 2 of them in this kit, which is really where the expanded kit comes from, is 2 of these in an internal tourniquet. I misspoke a little bit earlier with the needle decompressions. This does come with a needle for needle decompression. Works the same as the ARS needle. It actually looks almost identical. One thing I will note about this is this seems relatively small. I can't actually find what gauge it is. There we go, 14 gauge. 14 gauge is fine, it works, it's evidence-based, but if you have the option, I would go with a 10 gauge needle. It's just less liable to occlude quite as fast and is a little bit more effective. So if you can get a 10 gauge needle, do so, but it is nice that it has something on the inside of it. In the back, you've got hyphen chest seals, so you only have 1 set of those in there, similar to the other one. You have 2 gloves, you have 2 elastic bandages, and then you've got your Sharpie for writing on the tourniquets. In the lid of the kit, can't talk, you have your same card. I'd take that, throw it on the side. You've got your Mylar blanket. You have a thing of Quick Clot. So this is identical to the green Quick Clot. It's just in different packaging for police, fire, EMS. All about branding and what fits. Green's probably too militaristic or something. And then you have the NAR packing gauze, same thing. Love this stuff. And in the back, you have a pressure dressing. Honestly, if I was going to go with the bigger kit on this, I would load it out a little bit different for an active shooter kit per se. I haven't put a ton of thought into it, and I'd probably rearrange it a couple times, but honestly, if this was going to be an active shooter response kit where I'm focusing on major bleeding, what I would do is I would keep a couple of these guys in it. I'd keep 1 or 2 pressure bandages, probably take these elastic wraps out and put pressure bandages in it if I could fit it. Probably 2 to 3 sets of hyphen chest seals, and then 3 tourniquets on the outside, because really what you're doing is you're addressing major bleeding at the source and you're moving on. So this isn't a medic's kit, that would be a mass casualty major bleeding kit. And then if you have room, Mylar blankets are great as well, just to prevent that hyperthermia. In this specific instance, it might not be the first thing I'd have in the kit, however. So all in all, I like both these kits. I think they're very innovative. The different functions of them, the different places you can mount them, use them, I think make them a really good option. They are expensive, but you can place this kit in a multitude of different places without having to weave MOLLE every single time, because that is such a pain. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you next week.